a consent agreement arrived at in 2022, but the mother still would not allow him to see the kids. So preliminarily, we're going to go back and double check all these timelines and that kind of information. Potentially dropping food at the house other than the mother. It's pretty layered and complex given that it's going over years. The cart or DoorDash, things like that. So, so far, none of the people that were coming to that to dropping food off, knowing there's the kids were forensically interviewed, with our partners at Care House. They've already been seen once at McLaren. Health kind of checkup, if you will, that will happen hopefully this week. When our detectives saw them at their interview at Care House, they were already making amazing progress, having had some tender love, having had some supportive care, having been put in new clothing and some basic hygiene. The one detective said that the little girl was talking quite a bit. So that's super exciting to see that happening. And as it relates to being in the house, the only one of the three that ever came out was the young boy, and he came out twice. Once because he wanted to feel the grass, which by itself is heartbreaking, and a second time to check the mail. So you wouldn't do this to an animal, let alone your child. So, just to hear that he came out to touch the grass is just crushing, soul crushing on so many levels. As it relates to the house, we have obviously released pictures. I'll get my technical expert up. You've already seen some of these pictures. I rolled that little mouse, but it didn't want to cooperate. So inside of the home, as I had mentioned with these pictures, trash was piled, in some places 3 and 4 foot high. Everything was covered with feces and trash. The toilet had become non-functional, and the bathtub was filled with feces. That's the kind of situation these poor kids had been living in for years, not just hours or days, for years. And so when you have the complete lack of hygiene, a complete breakdown of basic living conditions that they were subjected to. And to get a little deeper into that, detectives have narrowed down the initial abandonment they believe to be somewhere in the spring to summer of 2020. Obviously, COVID played a little part in the disconnect potentially with schools and school communications. In 2020, the mother dropped off some trash bags, gloves, and Febreze, and that was about the last thing related to hygiene. 2020, in the height of COVID, okay? Towards the end, the children apparently were getting a loaf of bread dropped off that was intended to last 3 to 4 days. So, obviously on so many levels, the conditions are horrendous and the situation terrible. And as it relates, the preliminary report has been some more stuff for them. They're in when I heard about this, I couldn't know it was coming, and she is. As it relates to the kids, the first thing we wanted to do is obviously get them safe
That was the Oakland County Sheriff's Office press conference on the arrest of a mother who allegedly abandoned her 3 children. They were left to live in deplorable conditions alone in a Pontiac home for years. We'll bring you updates on this story on CBS Detroit at 4. Also happening right now, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan and officials are updating residents on the water main break that flooded several neighborhoods in southwest Detroit. That meeting is happening at the Detroit Public Safety Headquarters. Let's hear what they have to say.
Unless your drain is completely clogged, it is steadily slowing down, but almost half of our houses right now do not have their furnace working.